Have you ever been involved in a building project? Or maybe just watched one from the sidelines and felt that familiar frustration?
Oh yeah, things running late, costs going way up.
Exactly. And it feels like everyone's pulling in different directions. It's so easy to think, oh, it's just this one project, bad luck.
Right, a one-off.
But what if it's not just isolated incidents? What if these are actually symptoms of really deep problems in how we build things? Like that chaos is just baked into the cake.
Mm-hmm. The default setting, almost.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into two really powerful frameworks, Lean Construction and Scrum. They're fundamentally changing how buildings get designed and built.
And these aren't just, minor tweaks. They're like entirely new operating systems for projects. They actually came from other industries, but are making huge waves in construction now.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this deep dive, we're pulling insights from a couple of great sources. There's a detailed paper on Integrated Project Delivery IPD from the CMAA. That's the Construction Management Association of America.
Right, a solid overview.
And also a really practical book that focuses specifically on applying Scrum, right there in the trenches of the construction industry.
Very hands-on stuff.
So our mission for you today is this. Let's pull out the core problems these methods tackle, and let's see how they offer not just small improvements, but a real fundamental shift towards projects that are more efficient, much more collaborative, and, just more successful.
Moving beyond that, this is how we've always done it, Trev.
Exactly. Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start with those deep-seated issues.
Yeah.
The ones that seem to plague traditional construction.
Makes sense. Where do we begin?
Well, think about how any project delivery system works. You basically got three pieces, right? How the projects organize the teams, then the operating system, how work actually gets done day to day, and finally the commercial side, the contracts.
The money and the rules.
Yeah. And in the traditional model, these three things are often, they're seriously misaligned. The CMAA paper uses a great analogy. It's like driving with an underinflated tire.
Ah. Yeah, you can picture that. Makes steering incredibly difficult, unpredictable.
Totally. And historically, construction gets organized into these three distinct camps. You have the owner, the designer, and the contractor.
And they're not always playing for the same team, are they?
Not at all. They often have very different, sometimes completely opposed interests and communication. It tends to follow these rigid contractual lines.
Creating what the paper calls silos or chimneys.
Yeah.
Information doesn't flow freely.
Right. Instead of one integrated team, you get these separate stacks. And that's not just inefficient, is it? It has real consequences.
Oh, absolutely. That whole structure, that adversarial approach.
Yeah.
It means designers often don't get early input on cost or, crucially, constructability.
So things get designed that are hard or expensive to actually build.
Exactly. Leading to expensive redesigns later on. Contractors, knowing this uncertainty, often pad their prices. Designers might use oversized space factors just in case, making buildings more expensive than they need to be.
And the people who know most about how to build things efficiently, the trade contractors, they're often left out of the design phase entirely.
That's often the case, so problems in the drawings. They only get found after the prices are locked in, which leads to
change orders, endless change orders.
Pervasive change orders, yeah. And disputes become almost inevitable because the contracts encourage everyone to protect their own interests. Architects and engineers can even end up in the awkward spot of having to defend their own work against claims.
It sounds exhausting, frankly. And what's really interesting, maybe a bit disheartening, is how many attempts the industry has made to fix this, right? Things like value engineering, partnering, even fancy IT systems like BIM.
Yeah, all those initiatives.
Yeah.
TQM, constructability reviews.
They often don't deliver that fundamental change we're talking about. They feel more like palliative workarounds, as the paper puts it.
Treating symptoms, not the disease.
Exactly. They don't fix the root cause, which the CMAA paper nails as this inability to reliably predict future success. You just keep rolling the dice.
And what's fascinating, or maybe frustrating, here, is that it's usually not about people not working hard enough. It's not a lack of effort.
No, people are definitely working hard. Often too hard, fighting the system.
It's the system itself that's flawed. It actually encourages inefficiency and discourages real collaboration. You hear it all the time. Well, this is the way we've always done it. That inertia is powerful.
That phrase is the killer, isn't it?
It really is. And these Band-Aid solutions, they just don't tackle that deep cultural and structural resistance. So projects stay vulnerable, no matter how talented the individuals are. It's about shifting from us versus them to a genuine we.
Okay, so that sets the stage perfectly. This is where it gets really interesting. Lean construction comes in not just as a tool, but as a whole new way of thinking to tackle these systemic failures. It goes beyond the temporary fixes.
Right. It's not just a collection of techniques, it's a holistic philosophy, value-based.
What does that mean, value-based?
It means constantly focusing on maximizing value for the customer, the owner, the end user, while relentlessly minimizing waste in every part of the process.
Okay.
So Lean fundamentally restructures the project's operating system. It aims to smooth out that workflow, tame what the CMAA paper beautifully calls the nonlinear labyrinth of the AEC world, architecture, engineering, construction.
I like that nonlinear labyrinth. Captures it well.
And crucially, it's hypothesis-driven. It's research-based. It actually uses the scientific method through something called the Plan-Do Check-Adjust cycle, or PDCA.
PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Adjust. Okay, so that sounds like continuous improvement, right? Investigate, try something, see how it went, adjust.
Well, that's the core loop.
It sounds simple on paper, but is it? The paper mentions it can be counterintuitive for people who are always rushing, that we don't have time for that, we're already behind mentality.
That's the huge cultural challenge. Developing the discipline to actually do the check and adjust parts deeply, instead of just jumping to the next action. That urgency often overrides the learning.
So how do you build that discipline? What are some of the practical lean tools that actually help embed this thinking?
Great question. Well, one key tool is the A3 report. It's brilliant, really. It forces you to distill a complex problem onto a single standard sheet of paper, usually 11 by 17.
Just one page for a complex problem.
Yep. Background, problem statement, current state, root cause analysis, your proposed countermeasures, the future state, the plan. It becomes this focused tool for dialogue. It fosters understanding and creates a durable record of the thinking.
Okay, I can see how that forces clarity. What else?
Another really powerful one is value stream mapping. This involves visually mapping out a process, step by step, from beginning to end.
Like a flowchart.
Sort of,
Yeah.
but focused on where value is actually added for the customer, and just as importantly, where waste is happening. Hidden waste, waiting time, rework, unnecessary movement.
And teams are often surprised by what they find.
Staggered is the word the source uses. They realize how many steps are done just, because that's the way we've always done it. The mapping often reveals huge opportunities to eliminate steps, reorder them, or do them differently to save time, cut costs, and improve quality.
Okay, that leads nicely into something called target value design, or TVD. This sounds like a major shift.
It is. It completely flips the traditional approach. Instead of designing something and then figuring out the cost.
Which is often too high.
Right. With PVD, you design based on a detailed estimate. You start with a target cost, often a stretch goal, and the designers and key trade contractors collaborate from the beginning to design to that cost.
Wow. So cost becomes a design constraint, right, from day one.
Exactly. It forces innovation and waste elimination during design, preventing those painful cost overruns later. Constructability is baked in, not bolted on.
Makes sense. And there's one more key lean tool mentioned, the last planner system, LPS.
Ah, yes. LPS is all about improving workflow reliability, making sure work is actually ready. Preconditions met, materials there, info clear when the next person or team needs it.
So it focuses on commitments.
Precisely. It uses metrics like percent plan complete, or PPC, to track how well teams are actually doing what they said they would do that week. It builds accountability and predictability.
It sounds like all of this requires a pretty big cultural shift, though. Moving from being the knower, the hero with all the answers,
To being a learner. Continuously learning, adapting. It demands collaboration, trust, what they call promise-based management. You have to unlearn some old habits.
Yeah, and connecting this back, Lean's focus on eliminating waste, things like defects, overproduction, waiting, not using people's talents, inventory, unnecessary motion. It really sets the stage for needing more agile ways of working day to day, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It cleans up the system, making it ready for something faster, more iterative. Which brings us perfectly to Scrum.
Right, so Lean provides the philosophy, the waste reduction focus. What does Scrum bring to the table, practically speaking, for getting work done on site or in the design office?
Well, Scrum, which famously came out of software development thanks to Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schreiber.
Yeah, most people know it from tech.
Its benefits in construction are being described as measurable and phenomenal. It gives teams a framework for delivering value iteratively, incrementally. It enables daily improvement.
Daily? How?
Through its structure. Some teams literally see their output double or triple almost immediately, and then continue to improve from there. It's about rapid feedback loops.
Okay, so how does it achieve that? What's the underlying mechanism?
Scrum is built on what's called empirical process control, which sounds fancy, but it really comes from Deming's PDCA cycle that we just talked about with Lean. It has 3 pillars.
Okay, what are they?
First, transparency, making the important parts of the process visible to everyone involved, using a common standard so everyone's on the same page.
Seeing what's going on. Got it.
Second, inspection, regularly checking the work being produced, the progress towards the goals, the way the team is working, not micromanaging, but actively looking.
Checking in frequently.
And third, adaptation. If the inspection shows something's off course, or things change, and let's face it, in construction, there is nothing more constant than change.
Ain't that the truth?
Then the team needs to adjust quickly. Change the plan, adapt the process, fix the product, transparency, inspection, adaptation. That's the engine.
That makes sense. And complementing these pillars are the 5 Scrum values, right? Openness, courage, respect, focus, and commitment.
Yes, and these aren't just nice to haves, they're crucial. They're the cultural anchor. Openness supports transparency. Courage lets people speak up, try new things, tackle tough problems.
But in respect, the source says it trumps harmony all the time. That's interesting.
It is. It means valuing diverse perspectives and challenging ideas respectfully, rather than just seeking surface-level agreement. It helps fight that fundamental attribution error. Blaming people instead of looking at the system. It creates psychological safety, so ideas can flow.
Okay. Then focus keeping the team aligned on the goal for a short period.
Right, the sprint goal. And finally, commitment. Commitment to the team, the goal, the quality, and living these values. That's often called the magic of Scrum.
So you have the pillars, the values, then you have the actual Scrum team, defined roles.
3 clear accountabilities. First, the product owner or PO. They're accountable for the what. Maximizing the value of the product or project, defining the overall product goal, and managing the priority list, the product backlog.
So they represent the customer or owner setting priorities.
Often, yes. They usually allocate resources and interface with the project owner.
Yeah.
Then you have the developers. They're accountable for the HLW.
The people actually doing the work, designing, building.
Exactly. They create a usable increment of the product each sprint. They plan how they'll do the work. They make sure it meets the quality standard, the definition of done, and they hold each other accountable. Crucially, they're cross-functional.
Meaning the team has all the skills it needs within it.
Ideally, yes.
Yeah.
And they're self-managing, meaning they figure out how best to do their work.
Okay. And the third role?
The Scrum Master, or SM. This isn't a traditional manager, they're a leader who serves. Their job is to establish Scrum, coach the team and the organization on it, help the team improve its practices, remove impediments blocking the team,
So they clear the path.
and protect the team from outside disruptions. They're the guardian of the process and the team's effectiveness.
Okay, roles make sense. Then there are the Scrum events, the rhythm of the project.
Exactly. The heart is the sprint. It's a fixed time box, usually 1 week in construction, never more than 4. It's the container for everything else. Shorter sprints mean faster learning and less risk packed into one chunk of time.
Okay, 1 week cycles. What happens in that week?
It starts with sprint planning, where the whole Scrum team collaborates. They define a sprint goal, what they want to achieve that week, and select items from the product backlog they believe they can complete.
Then comes the daily Scrum, the 15-minute stand-up.
Yep, 15 minutes max, same time, same place every day. It's for the developers to synchronize their work, check progress towards the sprint goal, and flag any impediments, obstacles.
Quick sync, identify problems.
Then at the end of the sprint, you have the sprint review. This is where the team shows what they actually accomplished, the increment to stakeholders, and gets feedback. It's about the product.
Show and tell, basically.
Pretty much. And finally, the sprint retrospective. This is where the Scrum team looks back at the sprint itself. How did things go? What went well? What didn't? How can we improve our process for the next sprint? It's about the process.
Continuous improvement again, built right in.
Every single sprint. And all this revolves around the Scrum artifacts, the things that make the work visible. You've got the product backlog.
The master list of everything needed for the project.
Right. An emergent ordered list guided by the overall product goal. It needs to be deep, detailed appropriately, estimated, emergent, meaning it evolves, and prioritized.
Then the sprint backlog.
That's the set of product backlog items chosen for this sprint, plus the plan for delivering them. It's committed to the sprint goal. It should be a highly visible, real-time picture of the team's work during the sprint.
And finally, the increment.
That's the usable result produced during the sprint, the concrete stepping stone towards the product goal. It's the sum of all the backlog items completed during the sprint that meet the definition of done.
Ah, the definition of done. What's that exactly?
It's a formal description of the quality standard. What does it mean for a piece of work to be truly finished? It has to be clear and shared. Critically, the source says, done means the customer can beneficially use the work as intended, not just coded or installed, but usable.
That's a high bar. Done means usable.
It is, and this whole structure, the roles, events, artifacts underpinned by empiricism and the values, provides that predictable yet adaptable framework. It's a world away from the chaos of traditional methods.
So how does this actually look day to day? How do teams use this stuff in practice?
Well, one of the simplest but most powerful things is visual management with Scrum boards. You know, the classic to-do, doing, done columns.
Sticky notes on a wall, or digital?
Both work. The key is making the work and its flow visible to everyone. It fosters collaboration, helps identify bottlenecks instantly, and it's a direct weapon against the myth of multitasking.
Ah, yes, multitasking. We think we're good at it.
The research is clear. Multitasking actually makes you slower. That context switching, jumping between tasks, can eat up over 20% of your time. Visualizing the work in flow helps limit work in progress and keep focus.
That's huge. Okay, what else? Estimating work.
Big difference here. Scrum teams generally don't estimate in hours. They use relative sizing points. Techniques like affinity estimation or planning poker help them quickly estimate the relative effort or complexity of tasks compared to each other.
Faster than detailed hourly estimates.
The source claims it can be 50x faster than waterfall hourly estimation, and often more accurate for planning purposes. Teams then figure out their velocity, how many points they typically complete per sprint, which helps them forecast future sprints. It's about predictability through relative effort.
Interesting. And this links back to lean waste elimination too, doesn't it? Even something like good housekeeping.
Absolutely. Inspired by Lean's 5S principles, it's about maintaining a clean, organized work environment, whether physical or digital. Why? Because cleaning as you go requires far less effort than big batch cleanup efforts.
Makes sense. Less clutter, easier to find things, fewer delays.
And crucially, it increases transparency and flow. If a team can't keep its workspace clean or its digital board up to date, it's usually a sign that the work itself is messy or blocked. It makes problems visible.
That visibility theme again. But getting people to actually do this stuff, there must be challenges, right?
Oh, definitely. One big one mentioned is information reluctance. People, maybe project managers or controllers, are often hesitant to put tentative or best guess info into shared systems like a PMIS or a Scrum board.
They want the numbers to be perfect first.
Exactly. But that delay makes the data stale, makes reports inaccurate, and undermines the whole point of real-time transparency. The culture needs to shift to accept that timely, tentative information is far better than no information for keeping the project credible and making good decisions.
That's a tough habit to break. What other hurdles?
Another classic is interoperability issues. Different software systems, BIM tools, project management software, accounting packages that just don't talk to one another easily.
Creating friction, double entry, errors.
Exactly. It's a persistent drag on efficiency that these systems need to address better.
Okay, those are practical hurdles. What about the human side?
Well, on the positive side, there's a tool mentioned called the happiness metric. It sounds a bit soft, maybe, but it's powerful.
What is it?
Regularly asking team members, maybe a quick anonymous survey, to rate their happiness, say 1 to 5, with their role, their team, the company.
And why is that useful?
Because it acts as a leading indicator of potential problems. If team happiness starts dipping, it often precedes drops in productivity or quality. It allows leaders to investigate and adapt before things go badly wrong, often much faster than waiting for financial metrics to show a problem.
Interesting. So, paying attention to morale isn't just nice, it's smart project management.
Exactly. And overcoming all these hurdles, the reluctance, the tool issues, embedding the practices, it really comes down to cultural leadership. Creating that environment where people feel safe, to be transparent, to experiment, to learn, to collaborate, that's what unlocks the real improvements.
It's definitely a journey. Okay, so we've seen how Lean and Scrum work at the team level. How does this scale up? Big, complex projects with lots of teams. And what about the legal side of things?
Good questions. For scaling, there are frameworks like Scrum at scale. The absolute key principle when forming multiple teams is to minimize dependencies between them. That's how you maximize flow and performance across the whole system.
Makes sense. Keep teams as independent as possible.
But you also have to remember Brooks' Law. Adding more people to a late project usually makes it later. Why? Because communication pathways explode exponentially.
Right. N times N1 divided by 2.
Exactly. 4 people, 6 pathways, 6 people, 15 pathways. It gets complex fast. Which reinforces why small, focused Scrum teams, typically 10 people or fewer, are generally more productive.
So how do you handle massive projects then?
For really large, complex products, you might form a product owner team. A chief product owner leads a team of POs who collaborate to manage one shared product backlog, all aligned behind a single product vision, their North Star.
Okay, aligning the what? How do they coordinate the delivery, the how?
There are specific events. The Meta Scrum is a forum for the wider enterprise leadership. POs, key stakeholders, to align on strategy and decide what gets prioritized across teams. Then the Scaled Daily Scrum, SSDS, is where representatives from the different Scrum teams coordinate the how managing dependencies, clearing roadblocks between teams to get the integrated work done.
What about specialized skills? Like you don't need a lawyer or an HR expert on every single team full-time.
Right, scarce skills. Scrum at scale handles this cleverly with virtual specialist teams. Think of legal, HR, maybe data science as service teams. The former department head might act as the product owner for that specialist team.
Okay.
And they establish service level agreements, or SLAs, with the other Scrum teams that need their expertise. So legal provides legal review services with a certain turnaround time, for example. It allows those scarce skills to be shared efficiently without embedding them everywhere.
That's smart. Okay, so that's scaling agility. Now, the legal part, integrated project delivery, IPD, seems closely related.
Very much so. IPD tackles the problem from the contractual and commercial side. The goal is to use contracts that actually encourage and reward organizations for behaving as a team,
instead of encouraging them to fight each other.
Exactly. Often using pain-sharing, gain-sharing models. If the project comes in under budget, everyone shares the savings. If it goes over, everyone shares the pain, up to a certain limit. It aligns everyone's financial interest toward optimizing the whole project.
That seems crucial. But it must change the liability picture, right? You mentioned the standard of care versus defect-free work earlier.
It does. Historically, builders might have guaranteed defect-free work. Licensed professionals, architects, engineers, evolved to be held to a standard of care, meaning they act as a reasonably prudent professional, would under similar circumstances. Not perfect, but competent.
And there's the Spirin doctrine.
Right, which generally says a contractor isn't liable for problems caused by defects in plans provided by the owner.
But IPD mixes everyone up from the start.
Precisely. Construction managers, key subs, they're involved in design. The owner is intimately involved. Those traditional lines of responsibility get very blurry. So that protection under Spirin, it's significantly reduced for collaborators in an IPD setup.
So even if the IPD contract says standard of care?
In practice, because everyone is collaborating so closely using advanced tools like BIM for clash detection, the expectation gets much higher. The source suggests the standard will approach defect-free anyway. The bar is raised by the very nature of the collaboration.
Wow, so you need specific legal structures for this.
Yes. Things like single multi-party contracts that everyone signs, or setting up a joint venture, JV, or limited liability company, LLC, for the project. Each has different implications for risk and administration, but they all aim to create that legal framework for true collaboration.
Okay, that ties it all together. The mindset, the methods, the scaling, the contracts. It's a complete system change.
It really is, from philosophy down to daily tasks and legal agreements.
So, what does this all mean for you listening? We've covered a lot today. We've seen how construction often defaults to that "this is the way we've always done it" mode, even when it, leads to inefficiency, frustration, waste.
Yeah, that status quo can be really sticky.
But Lean and Scrum, they offer a clear antidote. They replace those adversarial relationships with real collaboration. They target waste relentlessly. They build in reliability by shifting us from always needing to be the knower to embracing being a learner.
Continuously inspecting, adapting, improving.
Exactly. These approaches help teams make work visible, deliver value more consistently, and honestly, transform the whole experience of designing and building things. It's not just about the project outcome, it's about making the process itself better for everyone involved.
A much more sustainable and, dare I say, enjoyable way to work.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought to leave you with. We've learned today how construction defaults to old habits. But as we embrace the spirit of Lean and Scrum, moving from knowers to learners, committing to that daily inspection and adaptation, what hidden defects in our own work processes, maybe even our personal habits, might we uncover and transform? How can we apply this thinking not just to build better buildings, but maybe to build a more rewarding experience for ourselves and everyone we work with?